Hello, everyone, and welcome to Study Hall. I am your host, Aged Boomer. Here's my co-host, Pop Pacelli, wearing a festive Santa Claus hat. 'Tis the
Ho, ho,
season.
ho. How's everyone doing tonight? And Aged Boomer, what you sipping on?
I am sipping on low-fat organic eggnog.
You're kidding me, right?
Uh, no. Yes,
Uh,
yes. Is this not good? Is this like the
what's
soy
what
drink?
is
Am I
the
gonna?
point? What is the point? And
It's
and
all
when
they
you say
had in the store.
organic
That
as
was the
opposed
point. They didn't have the regular stuff. All
Oh,
right.
I see. And
You're
when you
buying
say
that line.
organic as opposed to some sort of artificial chemical
I don't
eggnog?
know. I didn't even realize it said organic on the
Yeah,
canister. You're coming
yeah.
after me on the stream. You're
I
you're
am
humiliating
not.
me.
I'm just a little
You're dressing me
confused.
down.
I am not dressing you down. I'm trying to
Half the
understand.
chat is left already. Thank you. I'm
Just like we were talking backstage about all these things that come up in the news, and it's like I don't understand why I am supposed to care about these
You're
things.
supposed to care about my life choices.
I do care about your life choice. But I have to ask questions.
It tastes
Why?
fine. It tastes fine. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Actually, I had promised Netter I'm going to make her some real eggnog from scratch because I
Oh,
don't
the
think
good
in
stuff.
25 years we've actually tried real homemade eggnog before.
Ah, real homemade. I don't think I've ever had a real homemade eggnog.
Yeah.
I've only had the store bought stuff. Lots of people in the chat. I'm going to say hi. Owen
Yep.
Lister. Good evening, gentlemen. Just watched Jurassic Park 1 and 2. How are you? Good. I never cared for the second one, but maybe I should rewatch it. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was. Okay. Compared to what we see these days. Schooner Tuna, welcome. Netter's Network, of course. Hi, Nanette. Brian Gilmartin, Daniel Herron, Auditor Dread, Wolf 10 Media. Hello. Back to the drawing board. Great. Great to hear all of you. Okay. And Melissa Harris. Great to see you. I think she was first, though, as I know, people who say the first aren't necessarily first.
Yeah,
But
tend to slip off if they're early enough. Yeah, that's just how
so
YouTube works.
so are you in a festive spirit tonight?
Festive enough. Netter made some actually some Italian ricotta cookies, Christmas cookies, because my mom sent her the recipe. And I'll be honest with you, the kitchen just smells like Christmas to me today. It's really nice.
Okay. Cool. That sounds like a cannoli cookie.
Yeah, I mean it's not really because I guess cannoli would have like some pistachio or some chocolate chips in it. It's just a little bit almond extract in the glaze. But yep, it's definitely it's I think it's correctly called an Italian ricotta sugar cookie. And
That
it's got
sounds
this
that sounds
Christmas
lovely.
on it. Yeah, it really is really good. They turned out great.
Okay. So, do we want to talk about the news tonight, or maybe we want to put it off as long as
Yep,
possible because we
it's
don't have?
all bad. No, it's not all
It's
bad,
not all bad. I
but
think you have
it's
some good
there
stuff to
is
talk
some
about.
pretty bad news. Like
All right.
so,
So,
let's get right into that Hollywood apocalypse update, huh?
yeah.
That's the big news of the week, really.
It's the Warner Brothers. We talked about them last week.
Yeah.
WarnerMedia, and they were going to be doing a what is it? The day the HBO Max for Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, but see that was the big one, right? We said that by putting out Wonder Woman 1984 on Christmas Day simultaneously in limited theaters and on HBO Max, we said, you know what, that's kind of the death knell for movie theaters, right? I mean,
Right.
because they were really counting on that. That was their last chance after the whole James Bond thing, right? But it was still, isn't it? It's bad, but it's not that bad. It's a concession, it's something.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get this, right?
Warner Brothers smashes box office windows. Will send entire 2021 slate to HBO Max in theaters. This is from the
So it's
Hollywood
not
Reporter.
just Wonder Woman, it's everything they were planning to put out in 2021.
Yes.
And the theaters go, well, that's it, we're done. Because what does it matter if you're putting it out simultaneously in theaters and at home? the people that can get it at home are not going to come to the theater to see it. Why would they?
To get that theater experience.
I mean, that's a very optimistic hope, but I just don't think a lot of people are going to be doing that now, especially when you still have this situation where you have states and municipalities keeping us all locked in because control, you know?
Yeah. And you have, of course, when you go to a movie, you have to pay for multiple tickets if you're going with the family, right? Whereas you can just all watch it at home just by
For
subscribing
the same
to.
price. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, but see, there's been a lot of people talking about this right now. And everybody except the head of WarnerMedia and HBO Max says, "Yep, this is absolutely, without a doubt, the final death knell for the cinemas." And they're going, "No, no, no. There's always going to be a place." No, no, not at all. The only theaters that are going to be able to continue are the ones that do, like, you know, spill over for concerts and stuff like that, and do the, like, pay-per-view in the theater kind of things,
Like the live opera.
and concerts and even sporting events and stuff like that. Those are the only ones that'll be able to continue. And then they'll carry whatever cinema, people are putting out. Pretty much that.
So it's going to get more specialized. That's what it's sounding like to me. This is depressing though. 17 films, including Matrix 4, Suicide Squad, Dune, Tom and Jerry, Godzilla vs. Kong, Space Jam, A New Legacy.
Yep.
And
And here's something else that a lot of the other outlets haven't been talking about, as far as I could tell. This is an admission by Warner Brothers that they are effed and they are scared and they are trying to minimize their losses, because don't be mistaken, this decision to release everything on HBO Max, they are taking a huge loss. They've already shelled out the money for things like Matrix 4, Wonder Woman, and they've spent millions and millions of dollars, and they'll be lucky to break even by putting it out to HBO Max. So they are just trying to take as little loss as possible.
well, plus they want to win. They want to succeed in the streaming wars.
Well, you'd think that, right? I mean, on the surface of it, that makes sense. But if they really wanted to, if HBO Max really wanted to succeed in the streaming service, why do we still have HBO Go and whatever the third HBO stream is? Why did they not combine those last year? If they had, then their single HBO streaming service would have as many subscribers as Disney is currently claiming to have on Disney Plus, and they would truly be contenders with Disney Plus and with Netflix. But as it is now, HBO Max alone is basically comparable to CBS All Extortion, which is pitiful.
You can't even get it on Roku players, I've noticed, and that's like one of the top streaming devices. And I don't know if there were others that weren't matched with it. I think the Fire Stick was the Amazon Fire Stick, but it just seemed they said a lot of TVs that are the streaming TVs, you can't get it on there.
Yep.
So I think
And
you might want to get that squared away first.
What's even worse than all of that is that none of these streaming services play outside the United States. So you don't get an international market either. We've been talking for over a year about China and the international market, and how, if something doesn't do well in the United States, well, at least if it does well overseas, they'll pull a profit. That's not even an option right now.
Well, I have a question though. Oh, is this just for the United States or North America? The rest of the world, are they just going to get the regular releases?
Yep.
Okay, so it's just for us.
Yep. So again, you're automatically cutting your potential revenue in half, because now it's only the US. It's not going to be China. It's not going to be Europe. It's not going to be anyone overseas.
So maybe they're using us as an experiment?
I think it's desperation is what I really think it is.
One of the things I didn't understand is why they didn't wait to see how this worked out for Wonder Woman before they jumped all in on
It's
every
panic.
other movie.
It is panic. Because isn't it AT&T that's the overall owner for? Yeah, AT&T is carrying so much debt that I honestly think that it is a larger amount of debt than any of us realize. I think AT&T is literally on the verge of declaring bankruptcy. And they are trying to mitigate their losses as much as possible. I have been saying this for a long time. The decisions that Hollywood has been making for the longest time, we've been saying that our whole community is kind of based on this. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. You're not listening to fans. You're not maximizing your profits. You don't seem to care about profits. Okay. But they have their reasons for doing the things that they want to do, whether it's ego or agendas or whatever it is. But then the CV thing hits, and that they can argue that that's the whole reason that they're going under. But we've seen it happening for so long that all this has done is accelerated what was already happening.
Yeah, I do think that's the case. But we'll see. Because like Birds of Prey, that tanked last year. That was a big Warner Brothers showcase.
Well, sure. Go back to 2016. Ghostbusters tanked. You couldn't blame that on COVID. You couldn't. It was a bad movie that the fans were not interested in. The fans weren't interested in it. The demographics that they were gearing the film to weren't interested in it. Just like Birds of Prey, the fans weren't interested. The demographic that was supposed to be the target audience, the new target audience, didn't go to see it. Men didn't go see it. Women didn't go see it. Nobody went to see it. And this was before you couldn't go see it because of the coup. So now we have a year when people want to go see movies and nothing's coming out because all the theaters are closed.
Yeah, well, they did do that thing with Tenet earlier, and that kind of did not do so hot. But they were blaming the fact that the coasts were locked down, and that people couldn't go to the theaters.
Honestly, I am not going to sit here and say it's any one thing. It's not just CV. It's not just Hollywood's decisions. It's a combination of all these things. None of this stuff happens in a vacuum. But when it comes to Tenet, I got to tell you, to this day, I still don't even know what Tenet's all about. All I know is Idris Elba was in it, and it was the Batman guy's movie.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even know he was in it by the first trailer I saw.
Yeah.
And the guy who played the guy from Twilight, I don't remember. Robert
Pattinson.
Yeah, there we go. Robert Pattinson.
Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm talking about. And I know that there was like some time travel story involved or something, but it's like this was meant to be some big box office, draw. I have no idea what any of this. There was nothing about it that spoke to me.
But we have Autodread has a question. Was A&T in debt prior to Warner's acquisition or after? I only ask, would they want to buy a media company? Why would
they well, see, here's the thing. Yes, they were. And they went into huge debt with that acquisition. And then, the croup hits and there's no way for them to get it back. I mean, this is kind of the same thing is happening to these big companies that happened to homeowners back when the bubble burst, right? We'd all, gotten over our heads in mortgage, but in long term, you figure that's a good thing. Well, then, the housing market falls out. And now your house isn't worth squat, and you owe more than you could resell the house for. And that's what's happened to these media companies. Media companies aren't worth anything anymore. They're not worth what they paid out for them. Look at CBS. What do they have that they can sell off? Star Trek? That's their biggest thing. Nobody wants it. They've completely devalued it. So there's no liquidity for them. And that's why you hear Sherry Redstone, is that her name?
Yes.
Talking about how she wants to right the ship, and she can't. We'll get to this actually, but she's canceled the Star Trek 4 plans, and she wants to get back to. Well, everybody wants to do that. We're going to talk about this too. Star Wars trying to right its ship and get the fans back because they've devalued what they spent a lot of money for, and it's no longer worth what they paid for it.
Yeah, I've heard it referred to sometimes as brand burning.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that's the case with
whether it's intentional or not is probably another topic for another time.
Like She-Ra, I think it was intentional. But anyway, Leia plus size. She says, I think it's a bit of both. I think it's woke sickness, making movies nobody wanted, and HBO needs content. They started too early with nothing to offer. Yeah, well,
yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm going to get to that point in just a moment. I do want to hit what Owen Lister was saying. It's not Idris Elba. It's John David Washington, son of Denzel Washington. Okay, that's even worse because I don't even know who that is. Why would he be a draw? At least Idris Elba was a name I knew.
I think the draw was supposed to be the fact that it was
a Nolan film.
Yeah, I think you say, oh, it's a Nolan film, I'm going to go see that.
I'll tell you what, and I think we're going to talk about this more not only tonight but in the weeks to come. I don't think there are any draws anymore at this point. Big names that brought in big money, they've pretty much priced themselves out of the market now. Now that we know we're never going to see these $1 billion films anymore, at least not for this foreseeable future, they cannot afford the multi-million-dollar star branding. So, I think you're going to see a lot more pivoting away from the big names and start going to the new up and coming, what I've said they should do for a long time anyway.
Well, if you think even back to the original Star Wars, Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, these were up and comers.
Yeah, these people were not known back then. Even Carrie Fisher, being the daughter of Hollywood royalty, wasn't a well-known name. These were breakout stars, all of them. I mean, for crying out loud, Alec Guinness was probably the biggest name in the movie.
Yeah, because he'd been in the Bridge Over the River Kwai.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He'd actually been in a lot of things in the UK too. What's his name? Peter Cushing too.
Yeah.
Peter Cushing was a big name too. Those were the only two.
Well, Peter Cushing starred in everything back in the day.
Sure. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, Wolfton Media said, though, he had starred in 2 films, Black Klansman and Tenet. He's still getting his feet wet. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm just saying, I think another part of the problem is, though, as Troy said, the marketing campaign, nobody knew what it was about. I thought it was going to be Nolan's attempt at doing an espionage type film. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
Because I think the main character was in the CIA or something, and it was going to be like, something like a Mission Impossible or James Bond type deal.
Well, and that's another thing I've been saying about marketing on these things. How many years, decades even, when you don't know what a movie's about and all you see is explosions and this and that, and you go thinking it's one thing and something completely different, and then the movie tanks. Marketing doesn't do their job. I remember a movie called it was a Bruce Willis film that did not do very well that I loved. It was called Hudson Hawk, and it looked like a heist film, and it looked like it would be like Die Hard level of action, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was an off the wall comedy, almost in the realm of like Moonlighting, with fourth wall breaking type stuff. It was hysterical, totally up Bruce Willis's alley back then, but that's not how it was billed. So nobody had any idea that's what it was. That's the example I use, but I'm sure everybody in the chat can think of an example of I saw a promo and I thought the movie was one thing and it was something else completely different.
It's interesting. I remember when Hudson Hawk came out, and that was considered a big box office bomb when it came out. And I don't know if that means it was a bad film. I'm just saying that.
No, I think it was a great film. It just was not the film people were expecting. You went into it thinking you were going to see like a serious heist film, Ocean's 11 style. You'd be very, very disappointed. And you had no way to know that it was a silly, slapsticky type of comedy.
Hmm.
You know?
Oh, Leia Plus Size has a comment. I wonder how all this streaming will do once people get back to their routines and may not be home as much. Well, I'll tell you, Warner Brothers is saying these are pandemic only rules, and that assuming once the pandemic's over, things will get back to normal.
First, let me tell you, everybody, we're not ever getting back to normal. These people that are out there saying the new normal, they're the ones that are dictating how our lives are going to run from here on out. And after they get, the what do you call it? The inoculations out there, there will just be another disease right behind it that they'll say is just as bad. And you got to wear your mask, and we're going back to lockdowns. And you better believe this is not changing. They have discovered they can control you, and they're damn well going to control you.
Well, they can't control everybody.
Well,
but I guess enough.
There is enough people that will just roll over, and everyone else who doesn't gets canceled because you want grandma to die, don't you? You selfish person. Yeah. So what's this? Oh, let me drop this one. What is this thing about Regal Cinemas reportedly closing a deal with Universal?
Well, I want to make a point too, and this is going to tie into what I'm saying about Warner Brothers. But we can go into this article too. This was a different deal they were probably working on before this dropped. Okay. And they were going to make a deal with Universal Studios. And this idea I thought was a bit better. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This was the theater chains get the movie for 17 days. Okay. Exclusive.
Okay.
After the 7-day period is over, then the movie studios can start distributing the movie digitally. Now, if you think about it, most people, when they want to go see the new movie, the new Avengers movie or whatnot, they're going to want to see it the first weekend, the second weekend. Sometimes movies, they'll start earlier in the week, like on a Wednesday night. That's probably where the 17 days things come from. Sure. And the point is that they can still get their first box office draw. I think that would still lose the money, but not as much as this Warner Brothers deal. And I think that was what the compromise was going to be. I think, okay, listen, we know you guys want to go straight to digital, but we still need to have first crack at these. And then he's like, okay, when do people usually want to go see the new movies? It's in the first couple weeks, right? So we'll have exclusivity first couple weeks, then you can put it to digital streaming, okay?
Okay, interesting.
And I thought that was an interesting idea, and I don't know if that would have worked, but the trouble is Warner Brothers jumped in with this thing about putting everything straight to digital. And part of me is wondering, is it worth for the theater chains to even show the Warner Brothers movies?
I mean, I don't know. I think at this point, between Disney Plus and the HBO Max situation, I mean, I think that I don't know how this is going to directly affect Universal if they go through with this. So I don't know. I actually, it wouldn't have been a bad idea. That actually sounded like a great out of the box type of thinking, right? Okay, fine. Regal will give you, 2 weeks or, a month, and then it goes to our streaming service, and we'll see how that works out. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people panicking right now. The studios are panicking, and I think the cinemas are starting to go, okay, forget it. We're just closing up.
I'm wondering, well, I'm even thinking though, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen now, because I was watching Overlord HD. He says he has his insiders. Yeah, Doomcock. Yeah. And he was basically saying how a lot of the other studios are scrambling now with this announcement. They're having emergency meetings.
Well, because you do, right? You have to make your decision based on what the industry is doing. And when a big mover and shaker does something, you have to respond to that. Now, which is it? Is Warner Brothers going to be the one that drives it, forcing Universal to change their plan, or is it going to be the other way around? And that could come down to which one is playing chicken and which one veers off first. Because like I said, look at someone, I think it was Leia Plus Size said something about HBO Max not having enough content in their arsenal to make any of this worth it. Really. The only thing they're going to have is, well, you want to see these Warner Brothers movies, you got to subscribe to Warner Brothers, HBO Max. Otherwise, you're not going to get to see these movies. And we're going, don't care. I'm already subscribing to Disney Plus, where even if they haven't put out a new movie in the past 2 years, they have, all these other movies I can be watching.
Let's think back to when all this streaming first started. Who was the first big one? Was it Netflix?
Yeah, Netflix.
I remember Netflix, then I remember Amazon, and then Hulu. And these were the big three. And I remembered what the Netflix was doing. Netflix was everybody was just throwing this up on Netflix. It didn't matter who it was. Disney had a ton of movies on Netflix, remember?
Yeah.
Then we had Amazon Prime, which I think put a lot of stuff in there because they were just trying to say this is a perk you get for doing Prime. Because, with Prime, you get the free 2-day shipping and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And then with Hulu, the idea behind Hulu was you like your network television shows, but you don't want to have to record them or deal with commercials. Just subscribe to Hulu, and you get all the network television shows you watch. Like you want to watch Once Upon a Time, or if you want to watch The Simpsons or something like that, you just come over here. It's all on here. You just pay a subscription fee.
Yep.
Okay. And now everything's splintered off. So I'm sure CBS had stuff on Hulu, or I don't know if they did, but now they have their own. Now we have Peacock.
Yeah.
I don't know if Paramount is going to have something to replace CBS All Access.
And I think we said this a long time ago, and I think it's getting more and more true. People can't afford to subscribe to everything. So we're going to start seeing these things starting to combine. And people have been predicting it for a while. The first one is you're going to see Disney Plus and Hulu. Is it Hulu that they own now through Fox?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Disney
you're going to
owns
see Hulu. You're going to see Hulu and Disney Plus combine, and they are going to corner the market. They're going to become the big players. Actually, the Midnight's Edge guys, somebody, I don't remember which one it was on the panel, had a great insight, and I had to stop and think about it, and he was absolutely right. He said for the past several decades, whenever there's been a format war of any kind, whether it was VHS beta, DVD, high def, Blu-ray, whatever, now as we're going into the streaming service, it's always been Disney and porn that have decided it.
That's like the opposite. I hope those don't merge one day.
You know what? There were things that I never would have believed would happen that I see happening now. So
okay,
I never say never about anything anymore.
Okay, but
there was a great Simpsons bit one time where Marge is it's supposed to be taking place in the future, and she says, I just don't understand. It happened so gradually. I never saw it coming. Who would have guessed that Fox would become a softcore porn channel?
Oh. Leia Plus Size says, I don't have HBO Max.
Yeah.
I don't have the right TV for it.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm telling you, that's the other thing that a lot of people have pointed out, that it's situations like that are driving people to, the high seas. And Disney and Netflix don't care. It doesn't affect them. The ones that are affected are CBS, HBO Max, and the small guys. They're the ones that need to make their content affordable and easily accessible if people are going to pay for it. Otherwise, they won't.
Part of me wants to think that this is a common ingest by back to the drawing board. Disney is rolling out an adult Disney next year.
That's not a joke.
Okay.
They are rolling out. Is it called Adult Disney Plus, or is it like 18 plus or something? And that's where they're putting
the Alien series.
I don't know about that, but the WandaVision is supposed to be going to it.
Okay, so they're going to start to do. Okay. Oh no! Wait a minute. You got to pay for 2?
I don't know. They just mentioned it at the fourth quarter rollout. I don't know too many of the details about it yet.
Or does it feel like this is turning into a dystopia?
Oh, we're past
I,
that, Boomer.
I don't. I'm thinking of the movie Brazil. Do you remember the movie Brazil?
Yep.
Okay, Terry Gilliam. Yeah, I don't know. I'm being reminded of that. R-rated content right now. Yeah, so probably like Down and Out in Beverly Hills, the series. Okay, and Alien. I'm just kidding on that one. I don't know, but and we'll get the Alien series that apparently they're working on. I guess we would want that R-rated. Anyway, of course they have Hulu. I don't know why they just wouldn't use Hulu for other stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, let's look forward to that Alien series, right? I mean, it ought to be as good as the reboot of the Predator and the Terminator and all the other things that they've been rebooting lately.
Okay. But anyways, are you going to be getting HBO Max, Troy?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. If I was going to get anything, if I was going to get any of them, it would either be to change to the streaming version of Netflix or Disney Plus, just simply for value of dollar. And again, that would be a big if I was going to do any of them. But right now, I don't have any intent of giving anybody any money. But for the same reason it took me so long to buy a CD player or a DVD player or any of the other things. It's like I wanted to wait and see what ended up happening, so I didn't end up with a whole bunch of Betamaxes that I couldn't play and get serviced and have to convert.
But streaming has no value. I mean, it's renting basically. That's what
you're absolutely right. That goes back to what I always keep saying. You own nothing when you stream. Therefore, you're going to just be giving away money. So that's why I have still to this day never stopped getting the DVDs,
Anyways, okay. Yeah. So do we think this will kill the theater industry if this goes through?
I think it's been a long time coming, and now it's a for certain.
What
nails have been driven.
What I don't think help movie theaters, and I don't know what was drawing all of this. Ticket prices skyrocketed since when I was a kid.
Yep. Okay. And again, that's the studios. That was the studios, because we've been saying for a long time, and the theaters have been saying this too. All of that money that you're paying at the ticket at the box office, that all goes to the studios. The only money that the theaters were making were on your popcorn and concessions, which is why, a little bucket of popcorn costs $8 because it was the only way they were making any money.
Off the concessions.
Exactly. So I think this is the other thing that, those that are still holding out hope for cinemas are saying that if this continues, then the studios are going to have to take a much lower cut if they're going to get things released in cinemas anymore, because the cinemas have to remain viable in order to exist, for there to be a place for you to show your movies outside of your streaming service.
Oh, man. Schooner Tuner says, why stream when you can just buy it all on DVD or Blu-ray? I mean, the stores are pretty empty now. I'm going to say something to you. I don't know if this is going to happen. No, there's not been any rumblings about this. What if the day comes when they stop releasing stuff on Blu-ray and DVD and they say the only way you can watch this is by subscribing to our streaming channel?
That day will come when people stop buying DVDs and it's no longer profitable for them to do it. And that ain't happening.
Yeah.
Right now they cannot afford to leave any money sitting on the counter. They can't let a revenue stream dry up. So as long as there's money to be made, you better believe they're going to keep putting out Ghostbusters 16 for $20 and have it sit on a shelf that nobody's going to buy until it gets brought down and brought down and brought down. Because even if it sells for $3, that's still $2 profit they made on that DVD. That's about what they say. It costs about $1 to put out a DVD.
Yeah, they're very cheap to make.
Yeah.
Back to the drawing board says, people own nothing when they got cable, never stopped them, won't stop them now. It's interesting. I'm wondering too, who's really going to be getting hit by the streaming now, though? Is it going to be the satellite and cable companies now? Are they trying to leak people away from them?
Well, actually, back to the drawing board makes an interesting point. You got to think about what that model looks like, though. When you ordered cable, you still had a VCR. You could still make a recording of it if you wanted to.
That's true.
And even today, I'm not sure I know how to do this, but I know there's a way that if you stream something, you can record it, kind of the same way you did with your VCR. And even if you couldn't, there's still the high Cs. It's so much more easy to get a physical copy of something than there used to be. Anything you can now watch on your TV and your computer, you can obtain a physical copy of. I mean, like I said, when I get a DVD from Netflix, if I like it enough, I'm going to go out and buy it.
Exactly.
If I don't like it quite enough, but enough that I think I'll want to watch it again, I could always duplicate it. Not saying I would do that. I'm saying I could. In a court of law, I did not admit to anything.
Exactly. Oh, I had another point I wanted to bring up. It left my head. I hate it when that happens.
You're such a boomer.
I know I am. But
I have to keep bringing that up, not to insult you, but for branding reasons. Trying to help you out here.
But I'm just saying, okay, affecting cable, DVD. I'm trying to figure out there was something else that this could affect. Never mind. Okay. It'll come to me later on. I'm going to feel like a fool. But
well, I think it's going to affect the budgets for anything that they make going forward. I think you're going to see stars are now going to, if they want to continue working, are going to have to start taking pay cuts. It's going to be the same situation that you've seen in corporate America for generations, right? The company's hurting. We have our choice of closing up shop and everybody losing their job, or we cut the people that we can't afford and take in, lower paying people, or everybody takes a pay cut. None of those is great options. You choose what you want.
So in order to use an analogy, instead of Jean-Claude Van Damme being in the big screen pictures, he's then going to be in made-for-video flicks that don't have quite the...
Well, that's basically what happened to him, right? I mean, that's always been the way Hollywood's gone. If after you're no longer a big box office draw, you have your choice of disappearing into obscurity or starting to take, lower paying roles. And sometimes you would see what used to be a big Hollywood actor start working on television. That used to be a step down. Now there isn't that kind of stigma to television, but I think you are starting to see and if you haven't before, you're definitely now going to start seeing, oh, okay, yeah, it's not going to be the big name star that's going to be the draw because we can't afford them anymore. Sorry, and I'll be honest with you, we talked about Johnny Depp and Psycho ex-wife. I mean, it's basically the same thing there. They're like, oh, now we have an excuse not to have to pay for Johnny Depp's, high price tag. So,
Okay. Well, I think we've beaten this horse to death, but we'll continue
on.
No,
it'll continue to die.
We'll continue.
It's not even on life support anymore. It's just, it's been taken off life support and we're just listening to the beeps get slower.
I guess the next news story in this will be see if the other studios follow suit.
Yep.
And I hope they don't.
We're going to wait and see, and we'll keep you up to date.
It's not going to be the same without movies, though. Television is not movies. It's a different medium for storytelling. It's not a bad medium. It's just
it is
the same thing.
Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right.
Okay. But there was some Terminator Dark Fate news recently.
We can talk about it. I think it's kind of ridiculous. I think it falls under the title of a bunch of dumb people trying to stay relevant. You screwed up and you're still trying to make yourself feel better. So apparently Mackenzie Davis is trying to explain away why the movie failed at the box office. I'm sorry, Boomer. Even though I kept the notes and everything, I didn't even bother reading the article because I don't care what she had to say.
I figured
there is nothing she can say that matters. I don't care what she believes the reason is that it failed. The fact is it failed.
Okay.
And the fans know why it failed. What she believes is irrelevant.
Anyway. Okay. That's fine. I am speaking as someone that did watch this movie
Uh-huh.
I got roped into watching on a free preview.
Did you read this article though?
I did read this article,
Okay.
and I made
so,
some notes on it. So we're going to get into this. Okay.
So you can educate me.
Okay. So this is ComScore's Paul Durgarbedian. I have a note here. Can I make fun of that name? Okay.
You can't even pronounce it.
I can't pronounce it.
I'm going to make fun of your
Okay. He said the goodwill and brand equity created by the first two Terminator films was arguably undone by the subsequent pre-Dark Fate installments, which may have negatively impacted audience interest in this latest chapter in the series. Okay. I'll have some things to say about that. Mackenzie Davis stated, as far as the box office and stuff, it's Terminator 6. Nobody saw the last three. I get it. It's okay. I don't think that means what we made was bad, but I understand that the audience's appetite had been exhausted. Okay. Now, I am going to be one of the few people. I'm actually going to defend Mackenzie Davis somewhat. Okay. Since I did actually go and watch Terminator Dark Fate. Okay. Watching it, I did not think that she was the problem with that movie. Okay. I think she actually did give it her all. You could tell she worked out a lot, unlike other actresses that say they do and don't. Okay.
Well, yeah, you have a point there.
And I told her that what she should be is like a modern day Sigourney Weaver or Linda Hamilton from Terminator 2.
Mm-hmm.
She should be one of those, and she should be in better movies. The movie was still terrible. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not blaming her for it. And I do, but Linda Hamilton was awful in Terminator Dark Fate. I know you probably didn't see this. There was just some really bad acting, bad humor.
Yeah.
Arnold was terrible too. I loved Arnold. I grew up with Arnold. Okay.
Yeah.
My aspirational hero. No, I'm kidding. Growing up, in the 80s, the action movie was the thing. Okay.
Right.
And Arnold, I think you were either an Arnold household or a Sylvester Stallone household, but, of course, you usually watch both anyway, but
but you're right. We were definitely a Sylvester Stallone household because Italian.
Yeah, just a bad, and it's funny because German household. So there you go for Arnold.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, no, I love them both. In fact, I actually think that in the end, Stallone might have been a better action hero. I'll say that. Okay, but I wrote down a list of all the different Terminator sequels. I'm gonna be real quick, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines. I actually thought this was a good sequel. I think this gets a lot of flack. I don't deserve the hate it gets. I think Skynet being software at the end was dumb, but other than that, I thought it was a more than competent action movie. I had watched Terminator 3: Dark Fate, I think last year before, not Terminator Dark Fate, Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines, before Dark Fate came out, because I was kind of curious, was this? And I thought this is actually in some ways more competent than a lot of the movies I saw this past summer in 2019. Okay.
Yeah.
It had good humor, good action. It wasn't perfect, not as good as the first two, but in my opinion, it was not a bad film. Okay. Let me see, we have Terminator Salvation. I did watch that one. I found that to be a bit of a snooze fest. It was supposed to be R-rated. I don't know what happened there. They went for PG-13, which you shouldn't do with a Terminator movie. And I think that movie's best known for that Christian Bale rant. Remember that?
Yeah.
That got recorded. And Terminator Genesis. This is the stupid Terminator movie.
Yeah.
They made John Connor the villain. Did you know that?
Yep.
Skynet took him over or something.
Yep.
And Skynet is also a phone app in it too.
Yep. So
that was dumb.
Yeah.
And then we have Terminator Dark Fate. This probably is the worst of them.
Yep.
I didn't think anything could be worse than Genesis. John Connor dies at the beginning. They got Edward Furlong, I guess, to do a cameo, and maybe they de-aged him. They have him get shot. And
I've seen the effects, and it actually looks pretty darn good.
Oh no, it looked like it really looked like they shot it back in the day, but it's like I don't want to see that. Yeah. I don't go through Terminator 2, them trying to save John Connor. He ends up getting killed.
Yeah.
And the idea was that they were going to create another timeline, that another supercomputer takes over in the future, and then they send someone back to stop someone from getting killed. And I'm not going to go into that whole stupidity, but I just noticed it was very bad world building too. Like they didn't fully explain. Like I think Mackenzie Davis was half human, half cyborg.
Right.
Like they put cyborg parts in here, but. Anyway, that's my little Terminator thing, but
so what you have is something that's not too dissimilar from all the other deconstructions that we've seen, right? Mm-hmm. So you have really horrible most recent films that make bad films previously look better by comparison. Okay. So the sequel trilogy of Star Wars has made the prequel trilogy of Star Wars look so much better by comparison.
Yeah, everybody would
Man of
brag.
Steel made Superman Returns look so much better by comparison, and I feel that I can look back on Terminator 3 and Salvation and say, yeah, those weren't as bad as I remember them by comparison to what came after it. But I think the real problem that you have with, especially this last one, is the same thing you have with Last Jedi and so many others. Why bother making a film in a franchise that has a fan base if you are going to alienate every single fan of that fan base? You end your fan base. You empty out the bag that contained all the things that you wanted, and you dump it into the sewer, and now you're left holding an empty sack. Okay, when you go and you kill John Connor and you render Sarah Connor completely a failure and useless and worthless, and the Terminator gets married and takes up knitting or whatever the heck it was.
Yes.
Okay, I'm done. I am no longer interested in your Terminator. Bye. And that's exactly what happened. Every fan walked away from it, and you got zero new fans. Congratulations. You killed your franchise.
You make a point.
You can blame it on Genesis. You can blame it on Salvation. But those were not the problem. Up until Dark Fate, it could have been turned around. And they chose not to. They chose to bugger it all and start something new that nobody cared about. Congratulations. It's dead.
Okay. I almost feel like you're about to say, here's your crown, King Nothing.
Well, okay. Yeah, there's that.
No, I don't know why that popped in my head from the. Okay, but anyway, Owen Lister says the ending of Rise of the Machines, having asking what the point of the third movie was in the first place. I think the point is that fate can't be changed. Judgment Day is going to happen, so John Connor can't stop Judgment Day, but also Skynet can't stop John Connor. So I don't know. It's okay if you didn't like that movie.
It goes back to what I was saying when last year when we were doing my time travel, look at time travel movies. As long as they're internally consistent, they're good. And the first two movies were internally consistent. As soon as you started trying to pick apart, what was otherwise a good tapestry, you kind of unravel it. Yeah. I would argue that the most forgotten branch of the franchise, the forgotten branch, was the better way to go. They should have followed up with the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Yeah, there was a storyline that was actually doing well.
That was the best follow-up you could get to Terminator 2, I thought. But I did like, even on how Sarah Connor Chronicles, they sort of reference things that happen in Rise of the Machines, like the fact that Sarah Connor might get cancer. Remember that?
Yeah.
And that was introduced in Rise of the Machines.
But again, that's a group of writers that are thinking through what they're working on. And we'll get to that more. There are other writers that are doing stuff like that these days. And those are the ones that the fans look at and go, okay, maybe there's some hope.
But do you remember when Terminator 2 came out that summer?
I do.
That was like the biggest movie ever.
Yes, it was.
And I now it's like a joke. And I don't know why they couldn't leave well enough alone. And these movies aren't cheap. Okay, They said China invested a lot of money into that movie, Dark Fate. I don't know how it did over there, but...
Well, and the reason that they did was because they had invested a lot of money into Genesis, I believe. And that was the only reason Dark Fate even happened, was because Genesis was a flop in the U.S., but it did well enough in China to merit a sequel.
Okay, because I didn't understand, and it's Genesis.
Yeah, I know. That's like fan four stick, right?
It had what's her name,
regardless of what they meant. What it really is
it had Amelia Clarke in it. I do like her. I just don't like what they did with John Connor in that.
Just like you were saying about Mackenzie Davis, right? Mm-hmm. She was not the problem there. Okay,
yeah. Yeah, well, she strikes me as someone who could be an action star if she wanted to be. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I don't know if she or anyone else is going to be having much of a career going forward, but I think too, we need new series and stuff. I know that you see Terminator, oh, that did well, but how far can you stretch Terminator, especially if it's no longer John Connor's story?
Yeah.
Because it was always John Connor's story. It's like you're taking Star Wars away from Luke.
Especially because it's no longer Skynet. It's no longer the Arnold Schwarzenegger model of Terminator. They've changed it so much. It's no longer the same story anymore. So nobody cares. But yeah, what it comes down to is it's the writing, it's the development of the world building. It is not who the actor is. It is not Amelia Clark. It is not Mackenzie Davis. Just like, in Rise of Skywalker, it was not Kelly Marie Tran. She was not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
These people, the actors never are.
Yeah, not usually. Sometimes they are. Like I'll say in Dark Fate, Linda Hamilton, I'm sorry. There was just some bad. She shouldn't have been in it. And she was the main.
I would argue though that goes beyond, because we know, and we've talked about this before. You look at her body of work. You look at Schwarzenegger's body of work. You know what they're capable of. The fact that they weren't performing tells you something about this particular movie.
Yeah, maybe it was the director. Okay, it's just
I'm sure there was a lot of things that we don't know about. Why were they even doing it? They must have backed up a truck boatload of money to them, because Linda Hamilton, she's been retired for so long. She passed up on a bunch of different Terminator things before this. So what changed? Was she just looking for a reason to say, okay, fine, this will put an end to my character, I'm done? Like Harrison Ford, kill my character already. I don't know.
I think they did. So there you go. But again, it's Terminator, so they keep having alternate timelines, and nothing has any consequences anyway.
Bring back Amelia Clark.
What?
Bring back Amelia Clark.
There you go. Anyway,
or Lena Headey. Bring her back.
It was so weird. Two Game of Thrones actors playing Sarah Connor. Okay. But what did I want to make a point? What did I want to make a point about, though? I want to mention something about the humor, though. You said that they had Arnold knitting in Terminator Dark Fate. I think they did. That's a joke that goes too far and doesn't make you take the character seriously. In Terminator 3, he goes to like a what's the opposite of like a Chippendale style club, and like he steals the guy's outfit that's on the stage. Okay. And he ends up with these stupid sunglasses that
looks like Elton John, right?
Like they're bedazzled. If he had put those glasses on and walked out with them, then I would have gotten angry. But what does he do? He puts them on for a second, takes them off, and stomps on them with his boot. That's okay.
Yeah.
But if they had taken it the other way, where he's wearing them, that would have taken the joke too far, and it would have pissed me off at the movie, basically. But anyway. Okay.
But that's a writer knowing how far to take a joke.
And I'm not saying the Terminator 3 is this great film. I'm just saying it was better than what came after it. Okay. And they should have Summer Glau come back as a different Terminator. That would have gotten people to see the movie. I haven't seen Summer Glau in a while.
Yeah.
I don't know what she's been on. Thank you, Jedi Masters Utopia. But okay. But another thing that we have to talk about is, we're not going to spend too much time on this, but the Book Expo.
Yeah, so I was a little curious why originally you wanted to talk about this, but the more I thought about this topic, it seems to be a microcosm of a lot of what we've been talking about, right?
Yeah.
So you want to set it up for us?
Yeah. Truth is, I was just, if you're going to post the link, truth is, I was just looking, when you start out in the week, you're like, there's no news. You're scrambling for stories.
Yeah.
But this one struck me as interesting because I'm wondering, these are two fairly big conventions. I'm not that interested. I mean, I don't know too much about them, but apparently it's the U.S. Book Publishing's biggest trade show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's apparently now it's going away. Okay. And they said the re-exhibitions convention business hammered by COVID-19.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, if this place is doing so badly, I mean, Comic-Con, Star Trek conventions, I mean, are they far behind?
Well,
coming back.
And we've actually been talking about that, and I've talked about that a little bit too in the Star Trek communities. We went for a whole year now with pretty much no conventions, and some of them being online. I participated in a Klingon sponsored online convention. Look, there's a market for it, but you know what? This is just another one of those things that these big conventions were starting to falter under their own weight to begin with. And then something like this comes along and pretty much pops that bubble for them, right? Because San Diego Comic-Con, people have been saying, I cannot afford to fly out to San Diego, get a hotel room, pay the crazy amounts of money for the convention itself just to get in, to spend more money on the, tchotchkes that you can only get at San Diego Comic-Con, and pay if I want to have someone sign an autograph or whatever. People just can't afford it. There's only so much money to go around. Then something like this hits. Now we can't go. People are losing their jobs, or they just don't have the money that they used to. There's no place for that stuff in these overinflated price tags anymore. It's happening in the business world, where businesses are no longer having these big conferences where you have to go out to a resort and spend a week at stupid meetings, when in a couple hours you can get the same thing done on a Skype, and save the company a whole lot of money, and suddenly you find that these ridiculously overdone, over extravagant meetings suddenly can get done in less than an hour. When you don't have to worry about the catered lunches and the resort fees and the drinking at night and all of that kind of stuff. Shocker. Let's just focus on our business and get done during the business day.
Are you telling me that they use these conventions as an excuse to go drinking afterwards?
I did. No, yeah, pretty much everyone does.
But what is it? It's they said that they'll meet the community's needs through a fusion of in-person and virtual events. I love virtual events. Not really.
Being sarcastic.
They keep saying
that doesn't sound like you're being genuine there.
We don't have virtual events. This isn't Tron, okay? We're not in the Matrix or anything. This is, you're on a Skype call. That's not fun. It's not. It's a phone call with a picture on it, okay?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
See the other person on the other line. But I don't know. Just thought I'd share that. I mean, but
no, I and I'm glad you did, because it does seem like a microcosm of what's happening, in fandoms and the business world and just everywhere right now. I think that in a way, I kind of think it's a good thing. I think get rid of all the wasted time and money, and let's focus on what we really care about. I agree with Brian Gilmartin, though. I want to go to real conventions again, but again, I want to go to theaters. I want to, go take a walk. I want to, not have a governor telling me I can't go to a wedding because, whatever, but, they can go and do what they want to do. Rules for thee and not for me.
Didn't you hear there's a dark winter ahead? Anyway,
we can go down this route if you want to.
We're not going to go down this road. We're not going to go anyway. Okay, but yeah, rules for thee, not for thee. Well, hopefully, come springtime. Anyway, we already had this conversation. Let's move on to Marvel MCU news. What do you think, huh?
So now that we have seen the collapse of cinema, as we've talked about before, and we've been hearing a lot, like from people like Ethan and other comic pros, we're seeing the end of comics as we know them. Marvel cancels the Rise of Skywalker adaptation.
That's
every Star Wars film has had, and in fact, not just Star Wars, almost every action film, almost every sci-fi film has had a comic book adaptation. I mean, some that you'd be surprised, there's movies that have had comic adaptations that you go, really? That one had a comic adaptation? But yeah, Rise of Skywalker will not be getting one. They're canceling Morbius, which is interesting because they're getting ready to do a Morbius film, right?
Mm.
And there have been a lot of people let go over at Marvel.
Interesting. Robert E. Howard's Dark Agnes.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a bad joke written underneath it. I crossed it out.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, as penned by a feminist that hates Robert E. Howard. But no, I actually read an interview, and no, the people involved actually were excited about doing this project.
Oh,
They were. So it might have actually been a good comic. So I'm just kidding. Okay. But the Rise
but
of
I can
Sky-
see why you would think that. That would be
that's my knee jerk reaction now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, they're not going to like it for some reason, okay, and they're gonna bash it. But no, they didn't do that. They said they were being very respectful. They were saying that Robert E. Howard was ahead of his time. He even told one of the stories through the woman's perspective. So they gave him props for that. So like, wow, you're actually complimenting one of these old writers that everybody seems to hate. So that's nice. Okay,
and we all know that what was it, Safe Space and Snowflake and all those have been canceled. They're never happening.
Well, we'll see. You never know. I'm kidding.
Yeah, hold your breath. Hold your breath and see how blue you can turn, Boomer.
Rise of Skywalker adaptation, though. It's weird because every Star Wars movie has gotten a comic book adaptation. Will this be the first one that doesn't get finished? And
dude, this might be the first one that gets retconned. So, I mean, maybe the first step is not canonizing it in a comic book.
Apparently, the Rise of Skywalker adaptation was commissioned before the pandemic. You'd figure that would have been finished by now.
You'd think.
I mean, the movie was out last year.
This is the problem, and I've seen this. It's, we've talked about, a lack of marketing for especially the last two Star Wars films. Rise of Skywalker and the Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. But insiders at Hasbro have been coming out and saying we couldn't get anything out. Every time we get ready to do something, we get word that they changed it, and they changed it again, and they were literally changing things until the movie went, to theaters. It used to be that the toys were made based on, drawings and plans and, scripts and stuff that they got to see well in advance while they were working on it. And sometimes things would get changed, and you would see like back with the prequels when they put out Jabba with the two-headed alien in a set. That two-headed alien announcer looks like what the character was originally going to look like. It was originally going to be played by two actors.
Oh, wow.
That had their practical makeup on their faces, and they had blue bodysuits that were going to be digitally done. And like last minute, Lucasfilm said, actually, don't make this a priority. We may drop this character. And they're like, it's too late. It's already going to production. And then when the film did come out, they completely replaced that character, or characters, I don't know how you would, if it's singular or plural, with a completely digital character that looked very different. So if you get that toy, you get to see what it would have looked like. And then 2 years later, they put out that two-headed announcer in the CG style later. So this is what Hasbro has always kind of had to deal with. But when it came to Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, they were pulling their hair out. It's like they didn't know what characters were and weren't going to be in it. Should this toy be released and produced or not? I mean, look at what's her name?
Rose Tico?
No. The girl that they were. You said she was in it though. The one that was oh gosh, she played some rogue in.
Zori Bliss. We never got to see her face though.
Right. Whether or not she was going to show her face, what character she was going to play, that changed right up till the last minute. Matt Smith was supposed to be in the film, and he filmed scenes for it.
That's right.
They were all ready to put him in as a character. Nope, he was dropped. So that action figure gets dropped. Dark Ray, does she become an action figure or not? We don't know. And right up to the last minute, they didn't know whether that was going to even happen or not. The addition of the Emperor was a last minute thing. So they had no idea what action figures they were supposed to put out. So they said, you know what? We're going to put out a bunch of vintage figures.
Who was the bad guy going to be if it wasn't going to be the Emperor? Kylo Ren? Were they going to have him be the heavy finally? Or I don't care.
Who are you asking? I mean,
I'm asking you.
The thing, that's just it, though. I mean, there was what Lucas had planned. There was what JJ had planned when he did The Force Awakens. I don't know that Rian Johnson had any plan. And then JJ comes in and goes, well, you killed the guy I had planned. What Lucas had planned was something else entirely. Okay, George, what do you suggest? Well, I think we should. Kathleen Kennedy comes in, screw both of you. We're doing this. Okay, fine, whatever.
Bring the Emperor back. The fans like him. I don't know.
Anyway, did it better.
Oh, it was supposed to be Matt Smith. Okay, that's why Matt Smith was going to be in it. And they say that we kick him out because now we have the Emperor. That makes sense. Okay, and Matt Smith.
My understanding was that he was supposed to be some obscure character from the comics or something, or from some EU, and they were like, "No, let's not do that because most fans wouldn't know who that is." Well, gee. I think that's kind of funny considering every week we get something new from the EU in The Mandalorian and the fans love it.
Yeah,
shocker. Because you guess what? The internet is a thing that exists and Wikipedia is available to everybody.
You said Wikipedia, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that what Kerry Russell played Zori Bliss. I forgot that the other week.
Kerry Russell, that's the one. She was in some 90s.
She was on Felicity. The ratings went down when she cut her hair. Yes.
Thank you. Cut her hair, and everyone got upset, and I was like, I don't care. She's still
okay. But yeah, so no Rise of Skywalker comic finishing up for those collectors out there. I'm sorry.
No.
It'll make your existing volumes all the more valuable. Anyway.
They never got out, though. That's the thing.
Oh, well, then they're even more valuable. I'm kidding. Okay.
Right.
Anyway,
and sell it on eBay and get out of town before they realize it's counterfeit.
Well, we got other news though. This could be seen as maybe positive. I don't know. Daredevil comes back to Marvel Studios.
Yeah, I told you I was going to have something to say about this. So if you go back to the original, story about how there was that whole schism between Netflix and Disney, and Netflix had Daredevil. Iron what is it?
Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage.
And Luke Cage, right. Mm-hmm. They had their series on Netflix, and then Disney's like, okay, we want to consolidate, and we're starting our own streaming service, so we're severing ties. Okay, Netflix says fine, but we have a contract. So they get to hold on to the rights for Daredevil and all those other, Defenders characters for a certain period of time. And that was kind of a problem from the point of view of those that were really into the MCU and the Disney Marvel, thing, because it's like, well, this would be a great opportunity to pull these guys in, get them mixed in with, the Avengers characters and whatnot. And, Daredevil, being an attorney for, I don't know, Spider-Man or whatever. I mean, things that they've done in the comics, right?
Yeah.
Well, the problem was we were going to have to wait a couple years because Netflix had the right to these characters. And so Disney's like, well, we're just going to have to ride it out, right? Well, by then you're going to have moved on. Well, guess what? Things turned out that things did not move on because everything got put on hold. Yep. Everything got put on hold except the agreement that Netflix had. Their hold on these characters, Daredevil being the first one, has lapsed. It all reverts back to Disney, and now Disney is free and clear to start weaving them into their new phase of the Marvel universe if they so choose. They could even use the same actors if they want to.
I had a question too. They also have the rights to the actual Netflix series. Does that now go to Disney?
That I don't know. I suspect not. I think what happens is that falls into obscurity. I think I'm predicting based on nothing. This is just me, Troy, guessing. Okay. But I think it's going to be the same sort of situation that happened between Warner Brothers and Fox over Batman 66, where, hey, we own the rights to the character. Yeah, but we made the show. Okay. Well, then nobody gets to see the show. It's done.
Wow.
And I
Okay.
think that's what's going to happen. So anything that aired on Netflix, get those DVDs now while you can. I don't know whether or not they will be considered to be part of continuity going forward, or if they will treat it kind of like they did with that Eric Bana Hulk movie. It's kind of sort of canon, but kind of not.
Yeah,
And we never really talk about it again.
I always got that impression with the Edward Norton Hulk movie, because the Abana one ends with him in South America. The Norton one begins with him in South America. So you could sort of make the leap that these are connected in some way.
And there's definitely story elements from the Norton Hulk that clearly were canonized and part of the continuing canon. You know.
Yeah. Wolf10 says, no, hold on. Oh, my mistake. That was Jedi Master. No, to my knowledge, to my understanding, they stay with Netflix. And I'm worried over this acquisition of Netflix Marvel. Well, it was going to happen regardless. That was in the long time running.
Yeah. So the actual things that were filmed by Netflix remain Netflix, but the character reverts back to Marvel.
Interesting.
And like I said, they can cast whomever they want. They could even cast the same actors. And if they do that, in a way, they're kind of sending the message to the fans. All that stuff you saw on Netflix, that was all canon. We're just continuing on.
Okay.
The thing is that Disney cannot probably sell DVDs of those series for you to go back to, or host them on their streaming service for that matter.
Okay. Yeah, back to the drawing board made a point. He says details of the contract are confidential. The studio that produces the show keeps the rights to the show they produce in almost every case, so I imagine Netflix still has them. Okay.
And yet the fans have a lot to say about it.
Yes.
They've relaunched their hashtag Save Daredevil campaign. So I find that pretty interesting. There's clearly still a market for the character, and they'd like to see it continue. Now, they could. I do not see any reason that they could not continue the series on Disney Plus if they wanted to. They could literally do a new season themselves on Disney Plus and just continue forward.
I'm also going to say this. I know they had plans for this Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness movie coming out. Could they maybe treat these Netflix series as an alternative universe and still keep the same actor, but then play around with them and pretend that wasn't part of the continuity of the Netflix series? I don't know.
So, yeah, they could. And that is certainly an option open to them. I think that's unnecessarily muddying the waters, though.
Well, I know. I'm thinking they may not want to even acknowledge the Netflix series going forward. They may want to pretend those didn't happen. I don't know if there's bitter feelings over that or not.
I don't know. I can see it going either way. I could see them saying, no, there's enough of a fan base for this that we should continue to capitalize on this as much as possible. But I could also see them saying, we got the character back. We'll do what we want with them. I don't know. I'm not sure where their heads are.
I've often argued, though, that I think that, you should, if you can, you have a good actor playing the part, you should use him again, even if it's in a different continuity.
Absolutely.
Like, I'd love to see Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus again,
Right.
He'd
Absolutely.
still be up for it, yeah.
And it's clear that they thought the same thing about the one that played J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, yes. Oh, man.
The guy that does the voice of the yellow M&M.
I'll find out. Big Al, though, he liked Daredevil was a great Netflix
he's
series.
Absolutely right.
And a lot of people think the same.
I actually think that Iron Fist was a good series, even though it was definitely the weakest of all the shows that they did.
I watched the first season. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it had a decent villain, actually. Well, the one guy. But yeah, let me see. Actor, I'll find out. I like the fact they brought him back. J. Jonah Jameson actor. J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. Yeah, I knew it was. I keep J. Jonah Jameson. J something,
Here we
But
go.
yeah, there you go.
All right. But let's see.
That's what's going on in Marvel. Should we just hit Trek because we can get it done really quick? There's not much
Hit
to say
Trek.
about it.
If you want to even hit it at all.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll just take a minute because we already buried the lead on this one and we already talked about this. So apparently, it's done. There's not going to be any more of the JJ movies.
I feel like
They
this is
pretty
a
much
story we keep covering. No more Star Trek 4. Oh, it's on, and then it comes back, and then it's no more. I remember, I think this is one of our earlier streams when we were saying it's over. Insiders say it's over, but then somebody said, oh, but, and then the studio said no. Oh, no, they're still on track. I remember that.
Remember what I said about that? I said the reason they keep doing that is because they're trying to keep hope alive in the hopes of getting investors involved. The only reason it's not happening is because they can't get the money together. And although this is speculation on my part, beyond what the article says, I think the whole CV thing and everything we talked about, how studios don't have the money to spend like they used to, they've got to cut back, they can't afford these high price tags. That is enough reason for them to say, no, there is no way we are ever going to get enough money to pull this crew together, especially when it is so terribly underperformed. Star Trek 4 absolutely is dead now. And look, anybody with two brain cells to rub together knew this because all the actors have gone on to other stuff. You know, Zoe, what's her name, has signed on for Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy, and Chris Pine has signed on for Wonder Woman's sidekick. And you know, I mean, and what's his name? The doctor is now, you know, Billy Butcher in The Boys. They're all off to other things. They are not coming back.
Yeah.
But Zachary Quinto says, I'll still play Spock. Yeah, well, it's going to have to be a Spock solo film.
Oh, he could. I'm surprised they didn't have him reprise it on STD. But anyway, I'm going to say this canceled project wasn't going to have Kirk or Picard in it. So I don't think it was going to have the regular crew. This was going to
Wonder Woman simp. Back to the drawing board set.
Oh my!
I like that.
Okay. Anyway, no, but this was not going to have Kirk or Picard in it, and it was going to be centered on a virus that's hitting all the different planets in the Federation or something.
You know, I heard that too. I think that's what the article said.
Yep.
If that's true, part of me wants to say, well, good. At least they weren't doing a rehash of Star Trek 3. You know, because it seems like that's all they could do was rehash the other movies that had previously come out. But, you know, also if that's true, yeah, that's kind of a little hitting too close to home right now. That's probably not such a great idea.
Yeah.
But definitely. I'm not even sure that's true. I question if that's even true. I wonder if that's just another level of them blaming it on CV. You know, oh, we can't make this movie because of CV. Oh, we were going to make it based on something that's too close to CV, so this would fail, so we're not going to do it. Yeah, okay. Okay, Jan, sure. But yeah, well, so at least that's a little bit of good news. JJ Trek on the big screen is now officially dead.
Yeah, the new president of Paramount doesn't like it. So,
and it's very clear that they're not happy with what's going on the TV, but we still have Zombie Trek happening on CBS All Extortion. So I call it Zombie Trek because nobody's interested, but it continues on regardless. You know?
Yeah.
But so should we circle around to the other star?
Let's go to the Star Wars news story. Okay, we have Ryan Johnson.
Well, of course, Ryan Johnson has to remain relevant, right? And Ryan Johnson, you know, is still making headlines, poking at the fans, right? And he says that this is why he decided not to have the Anakin Skywalker scene in Last Jedi. So apparently there was again another situation, just like I was talking about. They had Hayden Christensen film some scenes that were supposed to be used in The Last Jedi that they decided to drop. The idea being that there would be contact between Luke and his father as a Force ghost. And Ryan Johnson said, no, that just didn't seem authentic because it was really Yoda that he had the relationship with. So we brought back Yoda instead. And it's like, wait a minute. Luke was prepared to sacrifice his life to try to save his father, Anakin Skywalker. Hello.
Yeah.
That was his whole motivation. Okay. He drags his father's body to a shuttle trying to save him. You get that last moment. I have to save you. You already have, Luke. Tell your sister she was right. That man was Anakin Skywalker who died. If Darth Vader killed Anakin Skywalker, then Anakin Skywalker came back and killed Darth Vader. By the way, little bit of trivia I want to insert here. As we all know, sadly, David Prowse recently passed away. David Prowse played Darth Vader in the 3 Star Wars films.
Yeah.
He was not in that suit in most of Return of the Jedi. It was mostly a stunt actor. However, the scene where Vader picks up the Emperor bodily and throws him over the railing, that was indeed David Prowse lifting the actor over his head because he could. Just wanted to share that.
And they made a point that he split the fans again.
I would argue that no. I would say that the fan split, you can't further subdivide it without a nuclear explosion. Okay, it is so fractured already that everybody that already hates the sequels does not give a flying fig about what Ryan Johnson has to say. And any of the fans of what he did are going to eat up whatever he says and be perfectly fine with this. So this is just journalistic sensationalism to even bother saying that.
Probably. Yeah, I like back to the Jarvis comment. The day I divided the fan base was the biggest day of your fandom. For me, it was Tuesday. Ryan Johnson.
Probably. Yeah, that's exactly.
It's the M. Bison quote from Street Fighter. I love that scene. But I kept saying that Disney needs to muzzle this guy, but then I think they probably don't have control over what he says or does anymore.
No,
I don't think they're ever going to hire him.
Yeah, they will never work with him again. And, we were talking before the show, the fact that Knives Wide Shut or whatever the heck that movie was that he did.
Yes.
Did decently well. So I guess he's going to continue to have a role, but he's never going to work in big franchise films again, ever.
No.
He's just going to have to continue to make his little auteur projects. And he'll continue to, appeal to fans the way Nolan and M. Night Shyamalan and, these kind of auteur directors do, that have their fan base because, the big boys are not going to be bringing them back. They can't afford to. They can't afford that kind of liability. They got to protect their investments. But I'll tell you what, the actual Star Wars fans don't give a flying fig about the sequels. They don't care about Ryan Johnson. They've all moved on to The Mandalorian, and it's not just Baby Yoda anymore.
Yes. I have not watched The Mandalorian, so I'm going to have you take the lead on this, but I'm going to ask you, are you trying to sell me on The Mandalorian? Is that what's going on here?
I don't feel the need to. It's like, if you're not watching it and you're really a Star Wars fan, you're just kind of missing out. It is some pretty darn good stuff. I should warn the chat, though, if there's anybody here who is watching The Mandalorian and concerned about spoilers, you might want to bug out for about 15 minutes because I'm going to be spoiling the last couple episodes of The Mandalorian, or at least the season of Mandalorian.
You can always just mute it. I'm kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. How
Okay.
are you
No,
gonna
do what
know
you
though
got to
I'm done
do, but
talking about it though?
we don't want the series getting spoiled for you if you haven't seen it though. But I will allow myself to get spoiled on it. It's fine.
So we were talking earlier on about, Easter eggs being woven in and bits and pieces of the EU. When I was talking about Matt Smith being cut because he was going to play a character who was an obscure EU character, all the fans wouldn't know about him. And true, when I read about who the character was, I had no idea who he was. So I did what every fan would do. I went to Wikipedia, looked the character up. Oh, okay. That would have been an interesting story. Sure. I was thinking, yeah, maybe that would be pretty good. No, didn't happen. So now, as I've been watching The Mandalorian right from the first episode, the very first episode of the first season, you get the canonization of Life Day. And I'm going, okay, I'm interested. Let's see. And this season we get Cobb Vanth, then we get the return of Boba Fett, and we get the return of Ahsoka Tano, and drawing a blank, Katie Sackhoff's character. Anyway, the Mandalorian character that she played. So we're seeing things from the Clone Wars, from the comic books and the novelizations, and basically the greater EU. My favorite one was and we saw it first season, but we've seen it several times in the second season, the use of the vehicle, the Imperial Troop Transport. First seen released by Kenner as a toy that was never seen in the movies, but one of those things that looks Star Wars, could have been just off screen, right? Now it shows up in the Mandalorian, and I'm like, boom, it's canon. Something from my childhood. I was fired up about that. And in a way, I kind of feel like the mini rigs from the old Kenner line. I don't know if you remember what those were. For people that couldn't afford an X-Wing and a TIE Fighter, Millennium Falcon, all these big ships.
Yeah.
You can get these little individual ships for just a couple bucks. They looked like Star Wars ships, but you never actually saw them on screen. And they've brought them into comics every now and again and whatnot. Clone Wars pulled in one of the the things that looked like a little Imperial shuttle. It was the shuttle for their ship. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Boom, it becomes canon. And now I'm seeing more and more and more of this EU stuff being pulled in. And I had said way back in the beginning when they got rid of the EU, the fans were all upset. And I'm like, I'm a little conflicted about this because on the one hand, things like Heir to the Empire and so forth, I don't want to lose those. On the other hand, there's a lot of crap that started coming out in the EU that really should not exist. So if Disney is saying, look, we own all this stuff, but none of it's canon anymore, it's stuff they can draw on. And sure enough, we got Filoni going, I know what's good. I'm pulling in what's good. And if you don't know what a troop transport is, if you've never heard of Cobb Vanth, that's fine. Because you'll hear about it from the fans. And you can look it up on Wikipedia. And even if you don't, doesn't matter. You saw the episode. You found out who he was in that episode. Done. That's the story,
Huh.
So and we already talked about how they showed the destruction of the second Death Star, which clearly seemed to all the fans to be in direct conflict with the sequel trilogy. How can the throne room survive if you just showed it blowing up again? Well, we were trying to match it to the original trilogy. Oh, really? Imagine that. And so now there's speculation about as the story continues to progress, is it going to even be possible for these storylines to line up with the sequel trilogy? The child and they're talking about Grand Admiral Thrawn again and stuff like that. And it's like, is this going to work? I mean, how can this possibly line up? And fans are more and more saying, maybe it doesn't. Maybe they just ignore the sequel trilogy, and they continue to do their own thing and let it evolve organically and maybe just retcon it out. But yeah, it's been some really good stuff. Now, for all that I've been saying about the toys, all the excitement and the recanonization of old toys and whatnot. One thing that did happen in the last episode that a lot of the toy fans are really upset about, those people that backed the Razor Crest and spent $350 on prepay to get the ship from the show, saw the ship get blown up in the last episode. Oh, I just spent $350, $700 if you were getting two of them, because you might want to resell it. And the ship just got blown up. Yeah. So what? People spent $500 to $1,000 on the sail barge, and that got blown up 15 minutes into the movie. Big deal. That's not why you buy it. Actually, if you think about it, the Razor Crest has gotten more screen time than possibly even the Millennium Falcon. Think about it. Millennium Falcon was only in 3 movies. Well, 3 movies, and you can argue some sequels, but maybe.
And the Solo prequel.
Yeah.
Where it had the escape hatch.
Okay, so let's say that it appeared. No, let's say that it appeared in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 movies. It appeared in 7 movies. That's 14 hours, right? Razor Crest still got more screen time. Sorry. It just did.
I can believe you. How is Ashoka on it?
Pardon me?
Or Ahsoka?
I'm sorry. What were you asking, Boomer?
Oh, I was saying how is Ahsoka on The Mandalorian?
Are you asking how they worked her into the story, or how was she in as far as quality?
Just in general, okay.
Yeah, she was great. In fact, I gotta say, Netter does not like Ahsoka as a character. She's watched the Clone Wars. She's watched Rebels. She does not like Ahsoka. The end of that episode, she was like, yeah, that was pretty good. I liked her here.
So have they improved her? Maybe she's grown with age.
I think you have to argue that. Yeah, she's definitely matured. She had a great line that really was a shot in the eye at the sequels. The whole reason that he contacts her is he's trying to find a home for this, little magic munchkin he's been carrying around.
Right.
And he was told, I got to get him to the Jedi. This was the first Jedi he was able to find. And she says, well, let's see what he can do. And she kind of like tests his abilities and whatnot. And she communes with him and finds out his name and whatnot. And she's like, I can't train him. He's full of fear because of what's happened to him. She tells what happened to him. So we know the backstory for the child and how he survived the purge during the prequels and, what's happened to him over these years. Right. But what he says is, but we can't just, she says, it's better if he just continues with you, forgets his abilities, and whatnot. He says, but he's already learned so much. He's got these abilities. She goes, you don't understand. For him to be a Jedi requires years and years of training, otherwise you lose it and it goes away and, whatever. And all the fans were like, that's not how Rey worked. So it was very clear. Everybody is pretty much unanimously agreed that Filoni was taking a shot at the sequel trilogies when he put that in there.
Well, I wouldn't doubt it.
I
mean, they're never going to say anything publicly, right? But
yep. But when lines like this come out, they and Filoni knows. He knows what he's doing when he puts in a single line or a single graphic or whatever. He knows the fans are going to catch on to that. Yeah. So I've heard the thing about the Leku being the wrong size. I got to be honest with you. I think if you're comparing the Leku to or anything about her physical appearance to the cartoons, I'm going to point you to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Okay, look at what Obi-Wan Kenobi looked like in the live action films. Look at what Obi-Wan Kenobi looked like in the cartoons. Look at what Anakin Skywalker looked like in the live action films, what he looked like in the cartoons. Okay.
So it's more like an interpretation of the same character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what works in animation does not translate to for crying out loud. Look at R2D2. Look at R2D2 in the cartoons and look at R2D2 in real life. They are stylistically different. They're not different droids. They're the same character, but they are drawn very differently. Okay. It's just the way it is, so I feel like you kind of have to get over it. Now, I feel like the explanation that the graphics guys, gave, yeah, she's going to be doing some physical stuff, and those Leku are kind of difficult on a physical actress when she's, doing the fights and the whatnot. And the fans are like, oh, that's BS. We looked at the scenes and they wouldn't have made a difference. Dude, unless you've done cosplay and you've worn those big headpieces, you have no freaking idea how difficult it is just to walk with something tall and high on like that, let alone take a cloak off, So if that's cool. The worst thing that the fans are going to pick on is that, I'd say that Filoni and the boys are doing pretty well.
Okay. And like I said, there was big news on it this week, right?
Oh, yeah. You're going to bring up Shakti? You mean the one that just got dead after what, 0 lines?
I was going to bring up the other news you were telling me about in private, but I don't know if you want to talk about on here.
What's that?
Just a certain guy who was trying to get his suit back, his armor back.
Oh, that's right. You're absolutely right. I buried the lead there, didn't I?
Yeah.
For crying out loud, the return of Boba Fett. Okay. And here's another one that's Filoni spitting in the eye of the powers that be at Lucasfilm and the keepers of the canon. Mm-hmm. They had decided that Boba Fett wasn't really a Mandalorian. He was not a Mandalorian because his father wasn't a Mandalorian. Because his father wasn't a Mandalorian. He's just some bounty hunter. And so whatever. And all the fans of Boba Fett are like, no, he was the original Mandalorian. There would be none of this Mandalorian show. There would be no action figures. There would have been no Mandalorians in the Clone Wars if it hadn't been for Boba Fett.
Right.
Well, this last episode pretty much canonized that, nope, he absolutely is, under even the new canon, under the new interpretation of what Mandalorians are, he's still a Mandalorian. See, the storyline was earlier this season, Cobb Vanth was wearing Boba Fett's armor, and I keep wanting to say Qui-Gon Jinn, but that's not his name. The Mandalorian, I forget his name, says that doesn't belong to you. That's Beskar steel. That belongs to my people. And as has been the regulars, did we just lose Agent Boomer? Okay, I'm just going to keep talking. Looks like we lost Agent Boomer.
I'm back.
Oh, good, you're back.
When I was at comment, I clicked something else and it knocked me out. Okay.
So as is very common, instead of shooting first and asking questions later, sometimes the Mandalorian realizes that there are ways to get what you want without just having to kill everybody. And invariably what he's been finding out is sometimes, hey, you do this for me and I'll, do this for you. And so he asks, will you help me with this situation? I've been wearing this armor to protect this town. If you can help me do this, it will go a long way towards protecting this town, and I'll give you the armor when we're done. Boom. So he gets Boba Fett's armor back. Turns out that Boba Fett had escaped from the Sarlacc and has been hunting after his armor ever since. So in this last episode, Boba Fett shows up with another character. As a matter of fact, a character played by Ming-Na Wen from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
If you're an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, don't know why you're not watching The Mandalorian, because Ming-Na Wen is now good. Looks like she's going to be a semi-regular for at least a while. Anyway, he shows up and he's like, I've been tracking my armor. I want to get it back. Well, it's not yours. You're not a Mandalorian. And before they can actually have that argument, the Imperials show up. They're trying to get the child. They have to work together, common enemy. And in so doing, Boba Fett runs into the Razor Crest, gets his armor, and then he just proceeds to kick the crap out of the Imperials. I mean, he does it before he gets his armor. He's literally armed with just a gaffy stick, and he kicks the crap out of these stormtroopers. And you see him come around a corner and smash one in the face, and his helmet gets shattered. And then he stabs another one, and it's just incredible. And this is just him with a gaffy stick. Then he goes and he gets his armor, and then he just goes full on Boba Fett and just kicks the crap out of him. When the battle is over, he turns to the Mandalorian and he does a heads up display on his wrist, and it shows his lineage. He goes, see, there's me. There's my father. My father was Jango Fett. He was a foundling who, served in the Mandalorian purge and blah, 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 which he gives this whole history that we didn't see in the prequels, but it ties in really well with Clone Wars and the stories. We didn't actually see it, but him saying it and apparently this is evidence to Mando. And he's like, so you are a Mandalorian. So I guess this is your armor. Boom. Done. Canon. Thank you once again, Filoni.
Okay.
The fans' faith is restored once again.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I will eventually catch this series at some point, I suppose. I just it's not available on home video yet. You got to be a Disney Plus subscriber, correct? Unless you want to sail the high seas, as it were, right?
I have not, and I've been watching. I haven't gotten a release yet for the DVD, but that is one that I will for season 1. They haven't released yet. Well, obviously they haven't released season 2. They're not finished with season 2 yet, but season 1 hasn't been released yet, and when it is, I will actually be purchasing that. I have not bought any DVDs from the Disney, what do you call it? The Disney Star Wars up till now. I didn't get Rise of Skywalker. I didn't get Force Awakens, Last Jedi. Heck, I didn't even get Rogue Squadron, or not Rogue Squadron. Is
Rogue
that what
One.
it was? Rogue One, yeah.
Rogue Squadron was the name of the video game series.
Right. Yep, you're right. I didn't even get Rogue One, even though I liked it well enough. I didn't bother. It wasn't something I felt the need to buy and rewatch. I will get the first season and presumably the second season of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am enjoying it. Definitely some good news in my opinion.
Okay.
I know that's not shared by everyone in our community, but
you're treating it as that the sequel trilogy doesn't exist, and you can just enjoy the series as a true sequel to the original Star Wars.
Yeah,
that's how you're looking at it.
So far, they have not done anything that would reaffirm anything in the sequel trilogies, and they've done a lot to pull in the EU. Okay. So, just being objective, they've been doing everything right so far.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, like I said, I will check it out at some point. Like I said, entertainment is rather sparse these days too. There's something other people have to understand, right? And I understand how you don't want to give your money to stuff that is, people that hate you, but we'll see.
And again, I said this at the top of the topic. I'll reiterate it. I am not trying to evangelize for the show. I'm not trying to convince you.
Right.
And so many people do. Okay. You shouldn't watch this. You should not support this thing, or you really have to watch this if you're a fan. I am not doing that. I'm just sharing my experience.
You're just saying that you've enjoyed it. You like it.
I have enjoyed it.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. I think the child has been he's been given a name too. It's I keep saying it wrong. I keep wanting to say Goku, but it's not Goku. It's Grogu. Grogu, I think is his name.
Nope, not sold. I'm kidding.
Well, no, I mean everybody was like, "Well, that's a stupid name." I'm like, "Well, what did you want him to be called? Baby Oil?" I mean, that's what I thought of, the whole Popeye bit, Sweet Pea. What kind of a name is that for a baby? What did you want me to call him? Baby Oil? I mean, we already had Yoda and Yaddle. What did you want to call him? Yodel? Yogurt?
Mushy
Yo Mama?
Pea.
I mean, come on.
Mushy Pea.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Anyways, what else am I thinking?
Oh, he's become a great new meme because he got sick in the last episode.
Okay.
He just eaten, and babies, you take them out on the road and go up down, they're going to spit up.
He's gonna puke.
And he took the Razor Crest trying to evade some baddies, and he pulls out of it and he turns around and burp, he just spits up green. And so that meme has become it's been starting to make the rounds every time someone puts out something stupid like some scene from Star Trek Discovery or something, and then they'll show Yoda throwing up or whatever. It's kind of good.
Well, I'm sure that'll be that'll be showing up on many a Facebook page, right?
I should imagine so. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
so where are we at now?
We're at the Black Friday stories. We won't spend too much time on these, but did everybody have a good Black Friday last? It's a little dated.
Did everybody, camp out in front of your favorite store on Black Friday and get ready to storm the doors? And yeah,
the only stories I had heard about were the people camping out at GameStops to get the PlayStation 5, and I guess to a lesser extent the Xbox Series X, which is the name of the new system. Do you like that?
like that? Okay. I have no idea.
Oh, for the love of
Although
life.
I did see a meme that I assumed kind of fell into this. They pointed out that Marvel Endgame takes place 5 years in the future, and the big rock creature from Thor was playing a PS4 because PS5 still hadn't been attainable 5 years in the future.
Well, that's what it's sounding like. The article here: Black Friday virus keeps Black Friday crowds thin. Shoppers shift online. So I guess that's another way of things changing. But
I would argue that this was true even before this. I feel that most sensible people were avoiding the stores on Black Friday. It's only the psychos that were looking for the ridiculously cheap, big screen TVs, that there were only two of, and they had to beat the crap out of the guy next to them to get it,
Well, that's what this PlayStation 5 sounds like, though.
Yeah. Everybody else is just going, anything I want, I'll just get on Cyber Monday. And Cyber Monday was becoming Cyber Weekend. And, everybody was doing more and more shopping online. Then CV hits. And again, it's not the cause, it's just the catalyst. It pushes along what was already a trend. More people just shopping online because it's convenient.
Yeah, but one of the problems is the reason the PlayStation 5 is so hard to find is because scalpers got a hold of them all because they're using bots now.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're snatching everything up. And this is from an article by Alexandra Olsen. And in this article, here's the story of Eric Kelly, a boxing gym owner, camped outside his store on Black Friday for the first time in his life, trying to score a PlayStation 5 for his 13-year-old twin sons as a reward for persevering through remote learning during the pandemic. I have thought about that too. It's got to be rough for kids, this pandemic. I mean, you're a kid, you want to go outside, you want to play, you want to do things, and they're all
they don't. They were gravitating towards internet and video games before COVID hit.
Okay, so I guess that was a boomer moment. Anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that does underscore what you just said about this PS5 situation.
Yeah. Well, but he made a point. They've been away from their friends, said Kelly, who failed to get at the console at GameStop at New York City Union Square, but said he would keep trying online. They've done everything they had to do in school and outside of school, so I have to award them for being exceptional kids. Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's a good thought, but
and isn't that always what Christmas has been? Kids have really done good that year. You want to, give them a nice gift. That's kind of the idea behind it.
This is a sad story, though. This is about a Black Friday scam, though. Seeking PlayStation 5, Durham man falls for Black Friday scam.
Wow.
Okay. And let me read that to you. It's by Sarah Kruger, and this was in Durham, North Carolina. A Durham man said he is out $300 after falling for a Black Friday scheme. Cy Frazier says he was desperate for a PlayStation 5 for himself and his 12-year-old son. The Durham barber was ready to wait all night in line to get one of the gaming consoles, knowing they're in short supply. He says when he got to GameStop on Westgate Drive on Thanksgiving night, a security guard told him he was not allowed to get in line that early. He was like, but for $300, I'll hold your spot and you can come back in the morning and it'll still be here, Frazier said. He decided to pay the guard. I just wanted to get the game. I don't know why. I feel so stupid for doing it, he said. And Frazier had a bad feeling and went, but he had a bad feeling when he went back. And I think there were police cars there, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and let me see. Sorry, I lost the article there for a minute, though.
That's
but apparently this had been done to other people, and I don't even think the guy worked there. So,
oh,
it's a depressing
man.
story. I mean, it's awful. I'm trying to think what else. And yeah, I don't know though. But
well,
do we think
that's another one of those situations where you got to know your rights? A security guard comes and says you can't stay here. That's fine, but you also don't have a right to do anything to me. You can call the police if you want, but I'm planning to stay here.
Yeah. But what was I going to say? But yeah, Durham police said they were investigating multiple reports of a similar scheme. So this was done to other people too. So
that's terrible. But that's, this is what happens. People get desperate for the whatever the tchotchke is, whether it's, the
tickle me
toy
elmo.
Yeah, I mean, jingle all the way. It's you gotta have the. When I was a kid, I remember it was the craziness over the Cabbage Patch Kids.
People died over those.
Yeah,
I think they got trampled to death.
That's like, you know what? Nothing is worth it. And I'll tell you what, I've come to realize more and more that whether it's PlayStation or I don't know, some toy or whatever, you know what? If you don't get it for Christmas, wait 3 months and it'll be in all the stores. They're going to overbuy it, and then you're going to be able to get it on discount. Unless it's something that is, they're only making like something HasLab, where they're only making however many thousand of them, and then when they're gone, they're gone.
I am wondering, though, if during this pandemic, though, if manufacturing of these, especially these high-tech devices, has slowed a bit. Because I know the Nintendo Switch wasn't available for most of the year. They finally had some available around the holiday shopping season, but that thing had disappeared for months. And they said it had to do with the fact they had to restructure things over in Japan or wherever they were building that thing because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Back to the drawing board says it's FOMO.
FOMO?
FOMO. I know that acronym. Give me a second.
Okay. But I think the big toys this year, I think Barbie's still popular, so she was selling out a lot. I guess some things don't change.
Yep, exactly.
And oddly enough, pajamas and sand and slippers too. People are buying a lot of those this year. So maybe because they're stuck in the house all the time, they wear out their pajamas because they're wearing it all the time.
FOMO, fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out.
So, and that actually was something I wanted to mention in terms of what we were talking about earlier with, waiting for something to come out on DVD. If you are one of those ones who's so concerned that you have to see the show before anything gets spoiled for you and blah, 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 then yeah, you're going to have to be the one that subscribes to this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
But if you are sensible and you're like, you know what, I'll get around to it when I get around to it, you can wait for the DVD to come out and you'll be able to get it just fine.
Yeah.
Same thing with this. I'll tell you something else. And I've said this about all the games, all of the, Apple whatever products, everybody goes out and goes crazy about getting it as soon as it's released the very day. And then 24 hours later, you hear about everyone being upset because there's a design flaw or a software problem. And it's like, if you'd have just waited a couple days, you'd have known about that. And then you can get the one that's fixed in a week or two.
This one guy, watch Solid Ref. He got his PlayStation 5, and he said it's already not working. And it had this video compilation of all these times when the new console he bought right at launch stopped working like a day or two in, and him screaming and getting all furious. And he says, and, you know, it's almost not worth it to buy anything at launch because there's always some design flaw in it. You know. They didn't even have with the Nintendo Switch. Where people bringing that home, and usually Nintendo makes pretty good stuff. But like even the Switch when it came out, there was like it had like that garbled screen. I don't know if you ever seen that on devices where like it's like all staticky and stuff. Yeah.
I have seen this with so many games. I've learned the expensive lesson the hard way a couple times. Just like with it, because I just happen to come from the school that if a game is out there, I'm assuming that it works. But apparently that's not the way the world works anymore. I have to, before I buy a game, I got to see what the reviews say. I got to see what people that I know have played it have said, and find out if it's actually a playable game or if it's too glitched to play. Because if it is, don't even bother spending the $24 on the game because it's too glitched to play.
And when they finally, if they ever fix it, by the time the fixes happen, it's half off, right?
Yeah. Well, that could very well be the case. So,
that was a major thing with me years ago with games. Like, I think one of the Batman games had bricked the PlayStation 3 when it came out, and they fixed it later on. But it's like, you know, when I buy a game, it shouldn't be messing up my system where I have to do a hard reset. You know, it's like,
exactly.
it should just have the bare minimum of working. But one thing I will say though about all this, I realize though this year that I've been down on a lot of popular things and popular culture in general, but I also don't want to turn into the kind of guy that just hates anything new that's out. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there has to be a balance somewhere.
I dig it. I absolutely, and I'm a strong believer, and that's kind of going back to what I was saying with the Star Wars thing. It's like, look, I get it. The sequels suck. Support what's good though. Yeah. Because, you know, if you just beat a dog, okay, he's never going to learn anything. All it's going to do is turn him rabid and vicious, and he's going to turn and bite you, and you're going to end up having to put him down. Okay. What you do is you slap the dog when he does something bad, and then you reward him when he does something good. And he'll learn faster from being rewarded for good than he is from being beaten for what's bad. And I see it happen with companies all the time. What's popular, they go crazy on trying to give you what's popular. Hey, look, this movie did real well. Let's make a movie that's exactly like it. You know, sometimes they learn the wrong lesson that way, but they will definitely learn quickly from a good lesson. But they will keep making the wrong stuff over and over and over again until they get something positive that gives them a direction to go in.
Okay.
You know, they'll just keep doubling down.
Exactly. And like a Jedi Master,
until they decide, okay, it's completely impossible. We'll never make another Terminator movie again.
Well,
you know,
I don't know if they'll ever be able to get anyone to invest in another Terminator movie, but
that's exactly it.
I think that ship sailed. They had too many mistakes. I'm sorry with that series.
And the only reason that Star Wars still exists is because somebody came out and did something, you know, set right after Return of the Jedi that captured the flavor that the fans loved. And what are they doing? While they're putting out toys for that, they're putting out toys from the prequels and the original trilogy, and they're selling like hotcakes. And now people still love those things.
We're just maybe people just treat that as the true Star Wars sequel instead of this other nonsense. But Jedi Masters Utopia, Cobra Kai on Netflix was awesome. I've watched the first season. I enjoyed it very much. And
everyone keeps saying that. I've been hearing that a lot.
Okay, we're hitting the 11. We're about to hit 11 o'clock, though. We did want to mention, though, Mr. Matchstick, I believe, is having a stream tonight, right?
Actually, I thought I heard that he was not doing tonight.
All right. I'm sorry.
Let me double check because if he is, he should have something
in the
up
chat
there,
too. He
right?
probably mentioned that. Okay. But
if you're here, just confirm. I don't think there's a Weeb Watch tonight, right?
Okay. All right. Cool.
Let me see.
Let me check the chat too.
I'm not seeing anything on Mr. Matchstick.
Okay, so maybe not tonight. But hold on. Oh, why is YouTube? attacking me. Okay.
Yeah, no, Mr. Magic himself said he's not. So
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Sorry. Good. I lost the chat there for a second there. But yeah, I mean, like nothing's gonna be perfect either, but as long as the pluses outweigh the minuses, I'm all right,
yeah,
usually. I mean, I still watch some network TV shows. They're not all perfect, but I still love my Bull. I love Evil, if that ever comes back. I don't love Evil. I mean the show Evil. Let's not go there. Okay. I got an eyebrow raise from anyone listening, but
I love Evil.
I mean, it's one of the weirdest shows on TV, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to that Batman animated movie coming out where it's Batman and Bruce Lee kicking butt. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. The Batman Soul of the Dragon. We'll see if that's any good. I've been this DC animated movies can be hit or miss, but that one looks promising. But I don't know. Like I say, 2021's looking a bit. We need things to keep us sane. Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes we look to entertainment and I say, go back and enjoy the past. But if someone's doing a good job in the present, maybe pick that up. Okay.
Exactly.
And like I said, there are ways to watch things even without paying for them. Even if you want to just go down to your public library and see what they have. Like I've been checking out movies I missed the year before. Like I watched that one about Thomas Edison and Westinghouse, the current war. That wasn't bad.
Yeah.
That wasn't bad. I enjoyed
Let me
that.
tell you something. That's one where if you watch the movie and you like it, go read the history, because there's a lot more history there than a movie's ever going to be able to cover, and it's some fascinating stuff.
Oh yeah, a lot of times these things was the movie based on that book?
I don't know.
You find that a lot of time these nonfiction works actually are based on book, like Seabiscuit. I love Seabiscuit. I realized that was based on a book, so I need to read the book.
Well, when I think it was HBO, they did a mini series of John Adams with
yes, that was based on a book. Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti, thank you very much, which I thought was excellent. Then I went out and got the book, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it's not like a fictionalized story of historic characters. It contains the real writings of the real man and his wife. And it's like, wow. First I was impressed that, nobody uses language like this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed, but yeah.
Who wrote that? That was David McCollum, I think. Am I getting that name right?
Don't remember.
He did a book on the Wright brothers too, I believe, too.
Yeah, and he did one called 1776 that was like a discussion of the events leading up to the revolution. Yeah, good stuff. I mean, they say that truth is stranger than fiction. I don't know about that, but history sometimes is far more interesting than anything that's being written in fiction these days.
David McCullough. Okay, that was the author's name. And I'm trying to think. Oh, my throat's getting dry. But I'm trying to think what else. I do like Cobra Kai. Watched the first season. Very good. I'm going to watch season 2 soon. I know the third season that's going to go straight to Netflix. I think maybe YouTube is giving up on the pay-per YouTube thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Really, the Xbox consoles after the original have some confusing names. Well, you have the Xbox 360, you have the Xbox One, and then you have the Xbox One S, the Xbox One X, the Xbox Series S, and the Xbox Series X. What do you think, Troy? Are you confused?
I am. You say what? This is where I go. Let me just go to Wikipedia, where they will have a list of all the different ones that came out. And
I believe I just named 6 consoles to you, and you're confused. Okay.
Oh, absolutely, because that numbering system makes absolutely zero sense to me.
Yeah. Basically, they've released 2 models of all the current systems. One is digital only, and one still takes discs.
And see, this is what I would do. Okay, if I wanted to get an Xbox something or other, I would kick off a note and say, hey, Boomer, if I were to get one of these, what would you recommend? Should I just get the most recent one, or does that suck and I should get the one before that? What do you recommend?
If you're going to buy a game console, it depends what you're looking for. My current game console right now is a very basic Xbox One S. I don't know what these are selling for now. I got mine for $199.99, no shipping. and free shipping, and it even came with Minecraft. Not that I've ever played Minecraft, but it came with a free copy of it, and I got a very good deal on that. I mean, that's kind of unheard of to get a new console for that much. Now it's not 4K; it's only regular HD, but it gets the job done for now, and eventually maybe I'll upgrade to the next model. The one thing I do like about the Xbox is that or the Xbone as I call it, is that everything on it will be backwards compatible with what you buy in the future. So if you buy an Xbox One Series X, the new thing, you can still play your old games on it, still use the same controllers on it. So
see, that is probably the biggest thing for me, because it's like if I buy a game system, and then in order to, get the new game that I want, I have to buy a new game system. If I have to now have 5 different game systems to play 5 different games, screw it. No,
that can happen too, Troy, because everything's getting split up these days. In fact, Casey Scott says still want a Switch. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because that was my big Black Friday splurge. I did get a Switch, and I got it basically so, a birthday or Christmas comes around, people can get me a Nintendo game, because even though I mainly game on the Xbox, there's still games on the Switch that are exclusive. It's like stuff on streaming,
Yeah. And that's exactly why I have never gotten into if I can't play it on PC, I don't want to play
it. That's weird. You know what? It's weird. It's almost like streaming is becoming like game consoles, where you have like game consoles will have some games that come out on all of them, and then there are other games that are exclusive to them to get you to coax you into buying this system or that system. So it's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But that's the way it always was. That's the way it was with cable and all the different networks and the premium channels and stuff. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. It's just, guess what? Now it's this instead of that. And it's still the same business model. Nothing changes.
Yeah. Oh, and I just want to mention one thing, not to bore the chat with gaming stuff, but Joshua V, but you have to check which previous Xbox game works on the new Xbox on the Microsoft website. Here's what Microsoft promised. They said anything that works on the Xbox One, the last model, all those games and anything that they made backwards compatible, because Microsoft would do things that would make older games backwards compatible. Not everything, but like big games like the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, they allowed that one to be purchased and played on the newer Xboxes, But basically they said anything that you could play on the previous Xbox One will work on the Series X going forward, okay? So, and they said they'll add stuff in the future. So basically anything that was exclusive to the regular, this is so confusing me talking, isn't it? Okay. But like basically the last generation Xbox, anything on that was just made for that generation will work on the next Xbox. And anything that was made backwards compatible for the last generation Xbox will work on the future Xbox. That makes any sense, great. If it doesn't, I'm tired. It's been a long day. But how you doing, Troy?
No, I'm doing fine. I just, all you're doing though is reinforcing the exact reasons why I never bothered to get into consoles.
Anyway, but I'm trying to think we'll have other news stories next week. I know that one of the Black Panther actors got into trouble on Twitter, so I might look into that. Of course, maybe that'll be all news by then.
That's goofiness. Yeah,
okay.
It's just stupid cancel culture. She made a comment that didn't mean near as much as people are making it out to mean. But they're eating their own, my friend, and this is why it doesn't bother me. They're inevitably going to just cannibalize themselves.
Okay, cool. Well, that's not cool, but
no, I mean it's I mean, just like it's not cool when you hear an animal goes extinct, but
no,
it's just the way that Darwinism works. And same thing happens with Hollywood, I think.
We'll see. I mean, someone made a point that, opera houses used to be big.
True.
Opera went the way of I mean, you still have people going to operas, but it's not what it was like in the 1800s, I mean, it's, and back to the drawing board says, I would keep an eye on the Alan Dean Foster situation. Might be some interesting news in the next few weeks. I'll definitely keep abreast of it, as they say. Yeah. Okay. But we do.
Although I'll be honest with you, back to the drawing board, my gut instinct that gets settled out of court and goes away. That's my prediction.
That would be the smart thing for all parties concerned. Just get taken care of, pay them the money, and stop making a thing out of it. Okay, maybe give them a deal to make another book, a Mandalorian adaptation. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
see.
He could finish the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker comic book. By Alan B. Foster.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that plea bargain. No.
Make Kylo Ren more emotive. You haven't seen Rise of Skywalker yet, have you?
That was the third one.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know. I think we've talked about this before. It's just a different kind of bad than Last Jedi. Let's not focus on the negative. There's good stuff coming out somewhere.
I'll stick with the Mandalorian and be happy.
Bull is back. We like Bull. Okay. Well, I like Bull. You don't because he was on NCIS.
Yes,
Anyway.
he left NCIS.
He was on it forever.
Actually, have any of the CBS shows come back? I have no idea.
Yeah, Magnum PI and MacGyver came back.
Both shows I would never watch.
This past Friday, they're part of the Hawaii Five-0 universe, which I believe Hawaii Five-0 is off the air now. But
yeah.
And like I said, I'm still.
I don't watch remake television.
You don't watch remake television?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't watch the originals, so that's why I'm watching the new ones.
MacGyver's a mess.
MacGyver's a mess. Magnum's fine. It's
not
what I
Magnum.
call it's what?
Not my Magnum. Hashtag not my Magnum.
Here's what I'm hoping happens on the show. They have not shown Robin Masters yet. They're taking care of his estate, right? I guess like they did on the old show. I am waiting for Robin Masters to show up, and I'm waiting for it to be Tom Selleck. Okay.
That would be funny.
It would be funny because think about Tom Selleck is on Blue Bloods, and that's another CBS show.
Yeah.
So couldn't they just have him pop on Magnum PI?
Literally right while he's on, hey, can you just stop over at soundstage number 3 and just, real quick?
That would be so funny. I don't know. But I don't know. Magnum PI, I call it old person TV, but I watch it. So, it's something to watch. It's something to.
Just remember, those shows still exist. If you have them on DVD, you can rewatch them, or you can take them out from your local library.
Or if you subscribe to CBS All Access, they have all the old Magnum PI on there.
Like I said, if you have them on DVD.
Okay. I forgot what old television show I'm going to try watching. Oh, Space 1999. I'm working my way through that. So, which I believe is on Amazon Prime now too. I do have the Blu-ray of that though. That was my Christmas present last year was Space 1999.
Did you get the whole
thing on Blu-ray? Yep.
Wow.
And they have it on DVD too. If you're ever interested in getting that for some time, they have they did re-release it on DVD both seasons. It's a very nice remastering. Shout Factory put it out. So that's.
Would you believe I only saw like one episode of that when I was a kid? For the most part, all I knew about it was what I saw in the catalogs, the Mego action figures.
I'm wondering, I don't know if Shout Factory had a website, Shout Factory TV, but they you can watch the first episode on YouTube perfectly free and legal. It's on there. I don't know if they have other ones on there too, but they had the pilot on there for you to watch.
Nice.
And they might even have, I don't know if they have it available streaming anywhere else, because I know that Shout Factory, it's weird, they were doing a Stingray marathon on one of their websites. That's the one with the puppets underwater.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of that? It's ridiculous, but they were playing all of that.
Cool.
And Wolf10 says I need to get back to watching Space Above and Beyond. I remember that show. Did you watch that, Troy?
Which show?
Space Above and Beyond.
No, but it was one of those shows that a lot of people told me I would probably really like.
Maybe now's the time to watch it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Now there's really nothing else to watch.
Like I said, though, it's weird that they did bring the shows back. Of course, I noticed the last MacGyver episode tended to take place in a secured location where, there weren't too many people around in the episode, and I'm wondering if that's going to be a trend for the season.
Well, a lot of people are saying that the method that Disney is using for Mandalorian, they're exporting it to their other shows too. This whole, where you turn the sound stage into a like a video game virtual reality with the projective screens and whatnot. I think you're going to start seeing a whole lot more of that kind of stuff.
Cool.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've watched this show and I still can't tell when the background is real and when it's, this virtual projection.
Well, I'll say this. They haven't gotten the faces right on people yet, but I bet they get nature right. They're getting pretty close, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Especially
like I said, I cannot tell when, the ship next to him is real or projected, when the background is, on location or on the soundstage. I just can't tell anymore.
Okay, cool. Oh, well, it's getting late. I know you have to work in the morning, so do I.
I do.
Do you want to run through the roster? What's going on this week? We got
Yeah, but guys, I'm not gonna drop links tonight. Let's just go through it. We know that
yeah,
Monday is
we don't.
Sound
Yeah, that's
Engraver.
fine.
Tuesday, Wolfie has his rambles. Well, no, I guess it'd be the Catholic Bible Geek has his book study. Let's see, what am I missing? Wednesday is the big night where we got soundtracks with Birdman. We got Green Lion Girls game nights. Is that all we got on Wednesdays?
No, we also have soundtracks of Birdman. We're going to be doing Young Sherlock Holmes.
Young Sherlock Holmes.
Like
There
I
you
said,
go.
I myself would understand the temptation to watch Green Lion Girl though, because those streams are a lot of fun. But you
Yeah.
can always check us out then or check us out later.
You can't be streaming and then still watching her on another.
I know. I can
work
always
that
check her out
way.
later. Actually, sometimes Birdman and I stop by after our stream to see what she's up to though.
There you
But
go.
yeah.
And then Thursday, Thursday I have a rewatch of Santa Claus is Coming to Town at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. But there's also going to be Wolfie sometime during the day, and Catholic Bible Geek should have his study of the Book of John on Thursday. Friday, possibly something from the Fan Man, maybe.
I think so, yeah. And he was on last Friday. And what's the Saturday night rewatch?
Saturday night rewatch is on Big Al's channel. It is Santa Conquers the Martians.
Oh, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Yes.
Which
okay.
I actually have. Not only do I have that on DVD, but I created for myself a DVD of the Svengoolie airing of that from 1 year, just because I'm like, you know what, I'm so used to Svengoolie being the host on that. I want to be able to make that a regular part of my Christmas every year.
Oh, and looks like Mr. Matchstick on Friday will have a Arkham Origins a stream then too. So cool. That's probably going to be on 11 o'clock, I think. That's when it usually goes, 11 p.m. EST.
Yep. Real quick,
right.
let me address the question I got from Jedi Master Zootopia. Yes, I did enjoy the Battlestar Galactica series that was done on Sci-Fi with Katie Sackhoff and all of them. I thought it was a great, in my personal opinion, a great, one of the few examples of taking a series and remaking it, rebooting it, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't perfect, especially as they got towards the end. I think they kind of lost their way a little bit, but by and large, I loved it. I liked Caprica, which was the prequel series that they did to it. Yeah, I thought all of that was great. I'm not sure I could invest in a new Battlestar Galactica that they're talking about, but yeah, I did enjoy that, and I would recommend it to anyone who's kind of interested.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, they both have their big fan bases. I know that there was talk of bringing it back, but we'll see as that unfolds, right?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. All right. Well, everyone have a good night. Anything left to say, Troy?
Nope. I think that covered it.
I like the hat.
Yeah. Thanks. We'll get on our notes for next week, and we'll just get ready for the next one.
All right. Catch you guys later. I'm going to play the bell.